Welcome back to Meet the Press.
Thank you.
Lovely and cold Ottumwa, Iowa.
It's cold, but beautiful.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. This week's time, how Trump won. Past tense, almost. If you got out of the race today, do you feel like you have won something?
No, I don't. I really don't. I think that the Time article was incredibly well written. It was really, I mean, that is a good writer, I will tell you that, a professional. But I feel that if I don't win all of it, and I mean the presidency, that I've wasted my time. I know I've been given accolades for the job we've done and everything else.
You've shifted the debate.
Well, especially being somewhat of a novice. And I've been, people have said very nice things like Time magazine, but I really feel that if I don't win, I can't make the difference. We're not going to bring back trade. We're not going to straighten out our military. We're not going to get rid of Obamacare and come up with a real health care plan. And we're not going to straighten.
But one could argue everybody's changed their messaging to try to copy you, whether it's Cruz, Rubio. I mean, everybody has taken a turn for tougher talk. So you've had an impact already.
Well,
that's why I'm wondering, do you feel like you have won so far?
Well, I even saw Ted Cruz the other day, just a few days ago, saying we will build a wall. I said, where did that come from all of a sudden? You know, I mean, these are things that are coming out. And if you look at what's happened with the Muslims, a lot of people are starting to say, hey, wait a minute, Trump is sort of right. We're going to have to start looking at this because there's a lot of bad things. You look at Philadelphia last night, you look at all of these things that are happening, and a lot of people are saying we have to study and we have to see what's going on. We cannot destroy this incredible country of ours. Can't do it.
You know there's this running conventional wisdom about you with some in the establishment that now say, okay, he's here to say, but if he doesn't win Iowa, he'll leave. He'll leave the race.
I'm not leaving. No, I'm not leaving. You and I had this discussion about 2 months ago where you said, would you leave? I was in #1. I've been in #1 just about since I joined up, right? June 16th. Amazing. We've had a lot of fun. But you asked me that question. Yeah. I started talking about, well, maybe here, maybe there, if this happened.
There's no maybes anymore.
There's no maybes. There's no maybes. I'm not leaving.
You're going straight to the convention.
Going all the way. If I don't win, I don't win. But, you know, maybe that can happen. But I'm leading every poll
and you'll
big.
Accept the idea that you might lose Iowa. You could lose it.
I hope I win Iowa. I've developed an amazing relationship with the people of Iowa. You see it right outside. We have a huge audience, a sold-out audience, always sold out. I mean, no matter where I go. But I have an amazing relationship with the evangelicals, with the Tea Party, with the people of Iowa. And I hope I win Iowa. If I don't win, I mean, you know, that can also happen. And I go right to New Hampshire where we're doing great. I go right to South Carolina where we're doing great. We go into Nevada where we're leading big. And we go to the SEC where we're leading big. But I would love to win Iowa. I've spent a lot of time here. Right after this, I'm making another speech in a different part of Iowa.
With the Big Bopper.
And yeah, that's right. Yeah, the Big Bopper is right. So we're spending a lot of time in Iowa. I love the people, and I think we're going to do well in Iowa.
Obviously, your chief competitor is Ted Cruz. You have brought up the Canadian citizenship issue, but let me ask you your opinion. Do you believe he is constitutionally eligible? I know the Supreme Court has never weighed in on the phrase natural-born citizen. What does that mean? But you yourself, do you think he should be eligible?
So what happens is I was watching Lawrence Tribe of Harvard yesterday, who's a constitutional expert, one of the true experts. And according to him, it's a real question mark. And he is the, you know, I would say he is one of the great authorities on this subject. He has a question mark. And
but what I say, have a question
let me tell you, from Ted's standpoint and from the party standpoint, he has to solve this problem because the Democrats will sue him if he's the nominee. If Ted is the nominee, he will be sued by the Democrats. And according to one of the great lawyers of the country at Harvard with strong opinions on this, the whole thing has not been, this matter, as he said, this matter has not been determined.
I understand that, no, but I'm talking about your opinion.
I would say that I would want the Supreme Court to rule because they haven't ruled. And when you listen to Lawrence Tribe of Harvard say that it's a real question and a real problem, look, if Ted wins, he's been very nice to me, I've been very nice to him. Yeah. But if Ted wins, he becomes the nominee. He goes out, day one, he's going to be sued by the other party.
By the way, do you think it's between you and him at this point? Do you buy the idea? Because right now, in almost every poll now, it is 1-2, you and him.
No, I don't personally think so. I think other people could maybe sneak up. I'm surprised at how badly some are doing. I think that some are doing really badly that I thought would have done better. And I think Ted's doing maybe better than I would have thought. But right now, we're 1-2, although Ted's not anywhere close to #2 in New Hampshire. If you look at that poll, he's not even close to #2 in New Hampshire. But we'll have to see. Ted and I are definitely #1 and 2 in Iowa. Right. So that's where we are, and we're going to see how that. And I happen to think that, from my standpoint, now politically, I should say, oh, if I come in number 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 in Iowa, I'd be very happy. I wouldn't be.
You're going to be unhappy if you lose Iowa.
I would like to win Iowa. Right. Okay.
And you're not going to.
And I say that with great, with trepidation, because this way, if I come in number 2 and really do a good job,
we're all going to say, hey, look at you.
That's okay. Yeah. I would like to win Iowa, but. I think Ted and I are close here, but if you look at Ted in New Hampshire, he's not doing well at all.
Let me ask you you said something about Senator Cruz this week in a CNN interview. You said he was for amnesty. That's a big charge. What's of all people to charge being for amnesty? Where's the evidence on him?
Well, number one, he worked for Bush. Bush was heavy for amnesty.
Okay, but he worked for him.
I know, but he worked for him, and he was heavy for amnesty. And if you look at Rubio go after him, Rubio and Bush are both, claiming each other was totally for amnesty. And honestly, Marco has a lot of good points as to Ted's feeling on amnesty. Now, Ted just switched his views on ethanol. He was totally against ethanol. Now, all of a sudden, he's for it. It's Iowa, and he's for it. Whereas
where are you in ethanol?
I've been in favor of ethanol, and the people
subsidies.
like
You're
it
okay
a
with
lot.
the subsidies?
I'm okay with it. I mean, I like fuel. And ethanol is fuel. And the people out here, it's a very important subject. But Ted switched, and I think they feel very queasy about that. Look, Ted will switch opinions, and I think that's fine. And in the world, you have to have a certain flexibility.
You've changed a lot.
I've changed opinions over the years. I mean, we change. But it'll be very interesting to see what happens. I'll tell you one thing. I am really looking to February 1st. It's going to be very exciting.
Let me ask you, Senator Rubio sponsored a bill back in Florida, back when he was in the State House, to give in-state tuition for undocumented immigrants. There's a lot of states that allow in-state tuition for the children of undocumented immigrants. I've not heard your position on that.
I'm opposed to it.
Totally opposed.
They're here. They're not here legally. I'm opposed
even kids
to it.
born to illegal immigrants.
Well, I happen to disagree with the whole concept of anchor babies. I mean, you look at anchor babies.
But that's in the Constitution.
No, it's not in the Constitution. If you read and if you look and if you go to the real scholars, like different people that I can give you, they will tell you somebody comes over and they have a baby on our border and it happens to be on this side of the border. We're not mandated to take care of that baby. You do not have to change the Constitution. You may need a vote in Congress, but you don't have to change. Now, there's a debate about that. Right. I don't think it's even close, and I've been on this issue for a long time. No. People have to come into our country legally, Chuck. They have to be here legally.
You've had 2 wives that were immigrants.
That's right. And by the way, they both went through a long process.
Under your systems, would they still be able to get in this country?
Sure they would.
Okay.
Sure. I want people to come into the country legally. I want great people to come into the country legally. And the ones that are here right now, and we have some really bad dudes right here. The gangs in Los Angeles, you take a look at some of those gangs. A lot of those gangs are illegal immigrants. They're not supposed to be here. And they are rough cookies. And the police in our country, they have been just absolutely undermined. They know all those people. They're going to get them out fast. And we're going to get the bad ones out. You look at Chicago, you look at different places where we have the gangs, they're going to get them out fast.
I guess, how do you decide if someone's a Muslim when you're doing this test?
There's got to be some kind of a method.
How do you do this method? Because you're taking somebody's word.
I'm not taking somebody's
That's my point. And if somebody really wants to do damage, they're going to lie and cheat and sneak into this country.
This has become a very big factor over the last week and a half, 2 weeks since I made my announcement that we have to see what the hell is going on. In the meantime, the other night, you have a cop shot in Philadelphia with a gun put to his head, and the chants and the rantings and the ravings. You look at the 2 Iraqis that came in Houston and Los Angeles, you see what's happening there. You're looking at a lot of bad things are happening right now. Now you're looking at Cologne, Germany. You take a look at Cologne, Germany.
No, I understand, but how do you do it?
Chuck.
How do you do it, though? I get it. Or do you just say, you know what? You do it geographically. You don't even do a religious test. You do it.
People come in, if they're business people, if they're proven, but we have to find out what the problem is. There is a hell of a problem here. People can say whatever they want. There's a problem. Take a look at Brussels. I've been to Brussels. I was there 25 years ago, one of the most incredible places. Take a look at Paris. Here's a story. So a photographer from Paris, one of the great in the world, is taking pictures of my wife for a magazine. This was just a couple of days ago. One of the greatest photographers in the world lives in Paris. And she said, "Oh, Mr. Trump, it's so sad what happened. It's so dangerous. It's so sad. It's so sad." Telling me the stories. Then other people from Paris that know her, are telling me the same stories. Chuck, there's a problem. We've got to get to the bottom of the problem. We've got to find out what's going on. Now, we can be politically correct and never discuss it,
right,
but we can't let that happen to our country.
Let me get some news of the week. China, clearly its economy, they're having a problem. They're having a crisis there. You have railed that China is beating America, and yet
they're killing us.
Okay, we're on our best 2-year job creation streak in 20 years. China is cratering our stock market for the problems they have at home. How is that the definition of China winning and America losing?
First of all, take a look at our GDP. Take a look at our GDP. And if you look at that, if you look at our productivity, if you look at the fact that people in 10 years essentially haven't had a raise, or people are going down instead of up, the jobs, a lot of temporary jobs, people are working temporary jobs and jobs that they don't want instead of jobs. Our economy is doing horribly. And you take a look at that jobs report, the jobs report is fiction because all of the people that gave up...
Total fiction? You don't think there's been improvements from the crash, obviously?
Honestly, I would say it's 90%. We all have improvements from crashes. I mean, we had a crash. We had somewhat of a crash.
Yeah.
Would it have straightened itself out? Would have straightened itself out. We had somewhat of a crash. But listen, Chuck, you have 60, 70, 80 million people out there that want to work that aren't getting jobs.